Welcome back to another episode of Beyond the Dimensions. I'm here with Fake Biz.
Big Biz in the cut.
Coach Ish, you know what's going on.
And special guest with us today,
Coach Hoeg, Fargo North Spartans.
State champ.
State champs. Let's go.
But today we have a Northside legend joining us today. 2019 Fargo Public Schools Teacher of the Year. Head coach of the 2023 North Dakota High School State Championships, the Fargo North Spartans.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Appreciate you taking the time to join us today.
Absolutely, fellas. Thanks for having me on.
Also, my debut on the podcast today here as well. I'm Coach Ish, leader of youth, teacher of basketball, 15U coach at Beyond the Game here. And I went to Fargo North myself. I've got 4 years experience coaching youth basketball, and year 2, AAU, aspiring journalist. And Travis and I actually know each other for a long time here. When I got cut from the C team, he had taken me under his wing and allowed me to coach right next to him for the 8th graders that year. And I learned a lot. So I take much pride in saying I could come from the Hoeg coaching tree, you know. We got a chip. So
Yes, sir.
So yeah, there's the intro. Also I got but yeah, his 2 sons, Cade and Keaton, longtime friends of ours. It's truly amazing to even witness this run because it's so historic. Like, it felt like I haven't been watching EDC basketball for eternity, but man, it felt like one for the ages. I couldn't even believe it when Keaton told me it was your first full year coaching because you're just like a vet coach, you know what I mean? Like, assistant for so long. And given you have coached at multiple levels since 1995, can you tell us about what it took to get where you are as a head coach?
Yeah, I guess my journey all started back in, like when I first started teaching here in Fargo, was at a school called EDC Middle School. And I remember my AD of the school came to me and said, hey, Travis, do you want to coach some volleyball? And I was like, I don't know nothing about volleyball, like I played it, but I don't know how to coach it. And he's like, oh, you don't need to know anything about it. You'll be able to learn on the job. The person you'll be working with is really good and been doing it for a long time. And so I just kind of stuck my neck out there and started coaching some volleyball. And then fortunate enough that following season to get a coaching job at the middle school level. Oh, yeah. And been doing it for since 95, 96. And, my experience started there with the middle school level and just, working with the youth there at that grade level, 7th and 8th grade. And really enjoying the heck out of it. It was a lot of fun, and I got to meet a lot of great people and a lot of great players. And, a lot of the guys that I coached went on to play college athletics. So it was kind of fun to watch them in their journey as well. But, eventually my journey allowed me to come up to the north side and to begin coaching up there a little bit at Ben Franklin. And then eventually I did a stint with Coach Schultes at North for 3 years. And then when that fell through, I went back and started coaching middle school again. And then when Coach Critchley got the job at North, he asked me to come up and help him out a little bit. So that's kind of been my journey in the coaching realm. Everybody doesn't know that I coach volleyball too. I've literally coached volleyball 1 year longer than I've coached basketball. Wow. So yeah, but it's been awesome. It's been a good run, and it's fun. It's all about relationships for me. Winning basketball games is fun, and some of the accolades that come with winning games, and this year winning a state championship. But for me, the big thing is just relationships, man.
Yeah.
Got to see my man Foday after a couple of games in the EDC and state, and it was just good to run into him and Carlson, guys that I competed against as a coach, but we've got love for each other. So that's to me that's the biggest part of basketball that I love.
Yeah, and I'm sure the high of winning the championship and the lows of all the painful losses have much far past. So what's left is to look back on the journey, and appreciate it as a whole.
Absolutely, man. Like I go around town, or sometimes even when I'm out of town, I'll run into guys that whether I either coached or I coached against, and it's just great to run into those guys as they become young men and adults. And, I've got guys now that have families that I've worked with. So it's just a blast when you run into those guys out in the public.
Completely agree. So I've long been describing that loss to Minot as the most painful loss I've endured as a fan, and I'm a Knicks fan, so it's tough. But can you talk about how you led the players to overcome that?
Yeah, that was when I think about my career as a coach, that's right up there with one of the most difficult losses I've ever experienced. To lose it on a last second shot, and on quite frankly a non-call that Jeremiah gets two-handed shoved out of bounds in that corner that doesn't get called that late in the game. It was just everything that how it all kind of boiled down. It was difficult, but going in the locker room, I told the guys, I said, you've got 5 minutes to feel sorry for yourself because we still got some goals that we need to achieve. We got a ball game tomorrow night or tomorrow afternoon that I want to win so that we can play on day 3 as well at state. I don't want to go home 0-2 and not be able to play on day 3. So I said, feel sorry for yourself for 5 minutes, and then it's time to get back to work and start thinking about what we got to do tomorrow.
Yeah, and that was, and that's what I was thinking too. Is you can't allow them to be sorry for themselves. And it reminded me of the 2014 Spurs, which I like to call the greatest basketball team of all time. And the year before, they had lost to the Miami Heat in a Game 7 to Ray Allen on that legendary three-point shot, which some say is the greatest shot in NBA history. And they came back and won next year and possibly blew the Heat out in what was one of the most impressive finals in NBA history. So yeah, that's what it reminds me of.
Yeah, you're more knowledgeable on that than me, but that sounds a lot like us this year for sure. To have your heart broken in one state tournament and come back the following year and kind of make some magic happen. So that's kind of cool.
And that's exactly what Popovich told his players. He actually had them watch the game after a couple times and made them really feel it.
Yeah,
so.
yeah.
Can you describe how was this run this year?
Man, it was kind of wild. I can talk about some moments of the season in detail, but for us, it kind of felt like we had some ups and downs. We, talk about peaks and valleys a lot in our program and how you can feel the best you ever going to feel in your life when you're on a peak, but to kind of stabilize yourself and when you're down in those valleys, when you're thinking life is not going to get any better and you're kind of always going to feel like you do when you lose big games or whatever, or something you're struggling with something in your life. We always talk about you're not going to be there forever, right?
Yeah.
You're going to be back on a peak eventually, and you just got to have that mindset of battle through those demons or battle through what you're going through in your life or the big loss or things like that. That's a big mantra for us at Fargo North is just life is a series of peaks and valleys, and you just got to believe in yourself and trust the process and kind of get through those moments. But this season was crazy because, kind of coming into it, I felt like we were going to be considered one of the better teams in the EDC. And then we start the year and we go out to Bismarck Legacy and just drop one. But I think we lost by 11 to them out there. Mm-hmm. And so then, first game, you get done, you lose, and you kind of start reflecting on man, were my expectations too high for this squad this year or whatnot?
Mm-hmm.
Then you come back and you win a few games, and you start feeling good about yourself again and what you're doing and what your guys are doing out there for you. But yeah, there were some times this season where, when we took some L's that I didn't feel like we necessarily should have been losing to certain teams, that gets in your mind a little bit here and there. But for doing it as long as I have been, you just got to it's kind of a cliche in basketball, trust the process, man. Really believe there'll be an end goal, and you just got to keep working for it. So.
Yeah. Even with the whole EDC run, I was not thinking North was going to win state after just losing in the EDC, and even without Klabo, Davies was still looking like a heavy favorite to beat teams. Then you had other teams like Red River, who you guys played in the championship, and you had Century coming in that was undefeated. So it was kind of just
odds were stacked against us.
Yeah, odds were stacked against us.
Yeah.
I just want you to talk about battling that that adversity as a coach.
Yeah, you're absolutely right about Davies. I mean, they're capable of beating anybody without Klabo. That's how talented of a squad he had. And just dudes that stepped up all the time and would hit big shots when big shots need to be hit, Going into the EDC tournament, it was, we had a goal, a preseason goal, and one of them was to win the EDC title. And so that was kind of to go into that tournament and win it. And if I'm being honest, we were going into that tournament. I didn't feel like we were playing our best basketball. A couple of our practices before that, I didn't feel the best about it. But I did look at Coach Zen's, my JV coach, and when we were kind of doubting ourselves, and I said, here's a deal, coach. Like, I've been with these guys for a long time, and these kids are playing some big games. Yeah, you know, and when it comes down to crunch time, I really trust this junior class. You know, I just knew that they're a special group of players, and they've been in big games. And I had confidence going into the tournament that we would make a nice little run. Now, state champs, no, I did not think that, right? But I thought going into the EDC tournament, we gave ourselves a good shot at winning that game, or winning some games there. So, but to drop that one to Davies in the championship, you know, like you said, they're a talented team, and Art does a great job. You know, if you hate him or you love him, one thing he does know is basketball, and he knows how to get guys to play hard for him. So, I always respect him for that. And then running into the state tournament as a 2 seed, you know, when I originally looked at that bracket when it came out, like who we were playing and stuff, I was like, sweet, we get a rematch with Legacy, because I really wanted to play those guys again and kind of avenge that loss, that first loss of the season, you know. And you know, not that it was their fault, but that was also the game where my son dislocated his shoulder in that game, the very first game of the season. So I was just like, everything was just kind of.
I know that.
Yeah, just negative about that game. So I wanted them again, and so I was glad to get them in the first round. And you know, then I was looking forward and like, okay, if we win that game, then more than likely we're going to play Bismarck Century, who's, you know, everybody's saying coming into the tournament, you know, undefeated season out in the WDA, and you know, they're front five. They're front five. The guys they started the line with, I kept telling everybody, they look like a dang college team, you know.
Yeah.
With the size and the skill level that some of those guys have out there. So I was like, boy, that'll be a rough one. I don't know if we can get past that mountain.
Yeah. And I really like, I watch basketball. I enjoy watching basketball. Like, I really enjoy like the coaching aspect of the game. So how you guys played Isaiah Schaefer and holding him down. Like, I just thought, like, we watched him play Shanley before that, and it was a slaughter. Like, it was crazy. So I was looking at them, and I was looking at Minot, like a lot of the WDA teams. Like, it's looking scary for the the EDC. Even teams like Davies and North and Red River, I don't know how they'll stack against those guys.
Yeah, you know, going into that Century game, you talk about Schaefer. I've known him for quite a few years, and I know what his potential is and what kind of shooter he is, man. He can be absolutely lights out and just hurt you in a big way quickly. And he doesn't need a lot of room to get that shot up either. So, you know, going into that game, I challenged Matthew Sem and a guy that we pull off the bench, Ethan Welk. I just said, you guys are going to be face guarding that cat all game long. We're going to keep it out of his hands as much as possible, and you're not going to provide any help side or nothing. Like, your job is just literally be here all the time. And they did an incredible job on him.
I seen that, and I was like, it just limited their whole offense and really had to, like, they started, like, just where they're going to go to now. They're going to their big. They have a really talented big, too.
Oh, yeah.
That was, like, who was making, you know, good shots down the stretch. But, you know, the whole offense looked kind of mangled at times because they'll be, like, spend half the possession trying to get, you know, Schaefer open.
Oh,
and then, it was just.
That defense startled their shot selection in the first half, and then and it seemed like their shot selection was just off that game.
Yeah, and I tell you what, I want to give a shout out to like another kid of mine too, because I tasked him with guarding a Division I player going to UND and Anthony Doppler, and that was Peter Halgo. You know, I said, here's the deal, Peter. I don't care if you score a bucket or not, but your job is to shut this kid down.
Yeah.
And,
great adjustment.
Yeah, and I knew he had the abilities because he's a great defensive player, and he's strong. He's so strong.
So fast,
and he's so fast forward and laterally that I knew he had the capabilities to do it, but sometimes you just got to have that mindset too, and he's a dog when he's on the floor, man. He's a guy that just wants to lock dudes down. He don't care if you get in points or nothing. He's just like, give me an assignment and I'll go at that guy, you know.
Yeah.
So, Coach, you know I'm an aspiring journalist, the only BTG media journalist right now. But so I got word that you got cut by Bismarck Century when you were in high school. Is that true?
That is true. Yeah.
First to break it.
Yeah. No. I played basketball my whole life growing up. You know, I loved the game. Obviously, me and my brothers used to go to the YMCA in Bismarck. We'd be there at noon when it opened, and we wouldn't leave until 6 o'clock in the evening. You know. Yeah. And we just spend all weekend there, and. So just loved the game, and went to a lot of camps growing up and things like that. But my junior year I went and tried out, and I ended up getting cut. Even, you know, at that time that coaching staff they had they did like this I don't even know what you call it, but like a little contest where you did all these different things, and how you finished in all these contests during the tryout process, you would be ranked by, player skill or whatever. And I finished 4th on that list.
Wow.
And I got cut. So yeah, that was a devastating blow. But you know what I take from that also as a coach is like when it's my cut day and I got to sit down in front of guys and I got to be the guy that ruins their dreams and what they want to do. I do it a little bit lighter touch than probably most coaches, just because I know what it's like to be on that end.
Yeah.
So, yeah, definitely. Yeah. But yeah, I was cut my junior year in Bismarck Century.
So, why did they cut you if you were 4th in the ranking then?
At the time I thought it was because at that time Bismarck Century was a lot like Fargo Davies. They called us cake eaters and stuff. But, dude, I ate government cheese. My mom went to the where they give the free food out and stuff. So, dude, my family, we were definitely not cake eaters,
Yeah.
And so, but I think for me at the time, I think, I hung around with wrestlers and hockey players, and we were kind of known as a wild crew. And I had an earring at the time, and I had at one time a mohawk, and then I had a mullet, and I don't know, maybe I just didn't fit the player personnel identity of what the coach wanted. I could ball, but I maybe didn't necessarily look like what he wanted on his team at that time, I guess. I don't know. It would be the best way to kind of explain it.
And I understand that, like, as a coaching aspect, like, you don't want that, like, a player coming in as a distraction, to what you're trying to do, especially if you're trying to, win games and stuff like that. But the other aspect is how you're going to – I see this a lot of times with a lot of kids. Like kind of makes me sad that they're good kids and they get stereotyped as – bad kids because they have like a certain stigma around them, or they do things that's like out of the norm.
I agree 100%, man.
How do you feel about the monkey calls at your players and the racial undertones of the rowdy crowd? And how do we police that and address that, or how do the schools and the administration?
Yeah, I'm glad you bring that up because that was kind of a big deal this season, and some of the schools that you were going to, I think it really blew up in the media when BHS played Jamestown. But, we experienced it a little bit too, and I don't want to call places out or whatnot, but we did experience it a couple of times this season. And, for me, I'm 52 years old, and I've lived a great life, and I've seen a lot of things that make me disgusted, and, that's one of them. To think that we're in, the year 2023 and we're still dealing with that BS, Yeah. How I handle it, I tell I do my best to keep my cool, and then I just tell my guys, like, hey, man, we just gotta play the game, and whatever you hear, that should be just going in one ear, out the other. We've got something we got to do tonight. So, but I did have a couple ADs come over to me after the games and apologize, and they said that they tried to shut it down as quickly as possible when it happened and things like that. But, I just think that there's kids growing up in families, and I think maybe some of the morals and character that their parents are kind of living their lives by kind of rubs off on their kids sometimes, and then their kids think that they can do those things in public. And we just got to make sure as, a society and a community that we don't allow that, we don't stand for that type of action.
Yeah.
That we're going to fight that type of stuff at all costs. 'Cause we can't allow that type of stuff.
I did discuss this in school in one of my classes. We were talking about how I think a couple WDA teams were experiencing like racism, like Native American racism. Black people were getting. I was hearing the monkey calls as well. Like, what is going on? I don't know what's been going on with that. Like, it's been like an ongoing thing this season that,
And hopefully, as viewers and supporters of basketball, and even fans, parents, like they can look inwards and be honest with themselves. And
I think for me, like some of the experiences that I've been in, I feel like when you see that, you have an obligation to confront it. And not that you need to confront it in a physical way, but absolutely in like an intellectual way and in an emotional way. Be looking at those people and be like, man, that is not right.
Yeah.
Like, it needs to be confronted, because when they are allowed to do and say those things and they're not confronted by people about it, then they think they're safe and that they're allowed to do it. That is not a big deal. So I just feel like you got to confront that stuff immediately.
Yeah, no justification for those type of actions, especially being like basketball and respecting the sport. Coming out there and spewing hate for no reason. These kids are just trying to play basketball.
Absolutely, and they're out there entertaining you.
Yeah,
they're putting on a show for you, for the audience and for the crowd, and they're entertaining you, and then that's how you want to treat some kids. It's just ridiculous.
Heard you're taking the summer off, Coach, but how long do you plan on coaching for?
Yeah, I don't know. I keep kind of, I say this during the season at times, and I've read the statistics in coaching and longevity of life and stuff like that. And coaching is a stressful job, and it's, it can be damaging to your heart at times. But I try to handle that's one question I got a lot this season. We were talking about earlier how Foday, you guys felt at times where you guys were not getting calls when you were playing, and I kind of felt like that time, that a little bit this season, and people always ask me, Coach, how do you keep your cool out there? Like, how do you not lose it? And how come you don't yell at the refs a lot and things like that? And I've got two answers to that question, and one is, I used to ref, so I know you're not going to see things at times. There's only
so much you can see.
Yeah, there's 3 pairs of eyeballs out there for a varsity game, and there's 10 dudes. You're not going to see everything. And so I understand the where things aren't called and miscalled and things like that. But the other thing for me, too, is just it's not healthy for me. It's not healthy for me to lose my temper and to be constantly screaming and to just have those highs and lows during a game. So I just try to maintain a sense of calm. But I also think that helps the players out, too.
Yeah.
You got a coach that's like that. Sometimes players tend to begin to think that they can act like that towards the officials too.
Yeah, somebody needs to be like that calming mechanism when the game's getting out of hand. Somebody's gotta be able to steer the team in.
Yeah,
being a coach that's calm, that's the most reassuring thing as a player. All right, I can go back to my coach and I know that we have some reassurance. If you're just as hyped as I am over a call, then nothing good can come from that.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you watched this at all this year, but I got some guys that can get pretty hyped up about non-calls, so I got to try to calm them down a lot.
And yeah, that's very true. I had to ref our tournament this year. We host tournaments, different stuff, and man, I'm 5'7". There's 6'5" dudes, and I'm supposed to see past him to see the foul. I have never reffed a game in my life, and there was a tough crowd. So maybe the players do need to understand it's actually the most difficult job, and I umpired baseball for 6 years. So yeah.
Well, and nowadays, man, I talk about this with my brothers all the time. He's my brother said to me last week during the state tournament, he's like, Travis, man, we would have never played in high school. These kids are so good nowadays. And I'm like, 100% they are, man. These kids are so skilled, and they're just so good and athletic and stuff. And that's the other thing about sometimes, you got these old referees out there trying to ref these super young athletic men, and sometimes they can't keep up with the pace of the game sometimes, I think. But I'll give them credit. I don't want to bash refs. We need more refs. We need young guys to come in professional.
Yeah, I need young guys, bro. Stop calling travels on me on Euro steps and stuff.
Yeah.
Very true. Oh yeah, do you run a particular offensive system?
I was just about to ask that question.
Yeah, we it's kind of we joked about this all season too. We'd be like, oh my God, they're not running anything out there. They're just playing free and doing what they want to do. But then I'd look at the coaches. I'd be like, if they watch film on us, we're going to be kind of hard to scout offensively because you can't really tell there's so much freedom out there with what guys are doing.
Yeah.
But we do have an offense. It's a dribble drive motion offense with a lot of
very interesting
with rules in it and stuff like that. We do it sometimes with a 5 out look, but more than likely it's a 4-1, 4 out 1 in look.
Yeah, because Chrisley runs the same offense at M State. Yeah. It's close Memphis and stuff.
It's very interesting you say that too, because this offseason I actually spent hours trying to figure out how we're going to generate offense, and I was led to the dribble drive offense by Vance Wahlberg, and spent a lot of time studying that, and he actually calls it the attack, swing, attack. I don't know if you've heard that before.
I have.
So I'm gonna actually tomorrow I think we might even be installing this. So
Yeah,
that's actually really cool. I didn't even expect you to say that.
Dude, you will love it because, I mean.
4-1-2. I never even ran the 4-1, so it's like, but it's perfect for creating motion.
Yeah.
Closeouts.
And if you've got guys that are good with the ball in their hands.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Like, it's what you want to be running.
And we got the two fastest players in the state, or two of the fastest players in the state, so they're definitely going to benefit from that.
Yeah, for sure. You'll love that offense. And
Yeah.
so will your guys. Guys that play it, and they just love it because there's a lot of freedom in it.
Yeah, and I had ran into that offense, been watching a lot of videos on FIBA coaching clinic, and I had ran into that, and I was like, it's so perfect. It's basketball. And then I was like, I have to be sure I'm perfect, so I started looking at another offense just to be sure because it was the first offense I found. So
the other thing I'd recommend you looking at, and you'll see a lot of teams running this stuff, is a lot of like the Spain and Euro action up top, the high ball screen.
Spain pick and roll, yeah.
I really like that stuff too. That's nice. You can get a lot at really nice actions out of that.
Yeah.
And then if you don't get any of that initial action, then you can just turn it into some DTM, right?
Yeah.
So
AP at West Fargo used to run that. Like he had like two people like at the elbows, and then like one person gets the ball, other person sets a screen, and there like be another person set the back screen.
Yeah, the Spain pick
that
and roll.
lob in there.
Yeah. And then you can't get that. There's always the wing 3-point shooter out there. So
too.
Yep, definitely. Yeah, it's if you've got good guys, it's hard to defend.
Yeah. You're looking at North film and you're thinking like, well, how am I defending this offense? We like even at I know like a couple schools, they're like, well, we don't even know what they're running really, because you're just like some possessions you'll come down and you don't know if the ball's going to Zeller. You don't know if Jeremiah's gonna come down and just shoot one in your come shoot down one in your face. You don't know what's gonna happen.
Yeah.
You don't even. Sometimes I'll like y'all come down the court. I'll see Jerry bring up the ball. Matthew gets the ball, step back three right away, and you're just like, well, what am I supposed to do about that as a coach? Like, what do I tell my players?
Yeah.
Face guard 2 players in the state, and then you have one of the best bigs,
Yeah. And among my fellow North fans of the team, a lot of them, had their doubts about just people letting things fly, and I told them, like, trust. You know what I'm saying? Like, I knew it, and I didn't know when it was gonna all get put together, but it really went perfectly for Matthew and Jeremiah in that championship game. That was probably Matthew's best game, or
I tell you,
we're calling him the Prince of Sparta now. So
I love it.
The Prince of Sparta.
Yeah, I tell you what, Matthew had a coming out party at the state tournament. I think guys around the state and fans around the state got to see like what he's capable of.
Oh yeah.
And that's another question I get a lot is like, what are their games like? Are they similar players? Like, what do you think about them? Or like, and I always tell like to me they're a little different. They're both dynamic players, but Matthew has a little bit different game, like getting downhill to the rack. Like his look on the bounce is a little different than Jeremiah's. I feel like Jeremiah likes to dance with it a lot out on the perimeter, and I'm always yelling at him like, "Dude, you're dancing the ball. You're not going anywhere.
Yep,
it's ridiculous."
Get out your bag.
Straight line attacker.
I have to tell players to get out their bag.
Yeah, that's what I got to use then maybe. But that's what I always tell Jeremiah, like, dude, just pick a hip, pick a shoulder, and go. Like, there's not many people that are going to stand in front of you.
Yep.
So they're different players. I feel like Matthew. I'm gonna hash on Jeremiah a little bit. He's gonna hate me, but I feel like he's a little bit better a defender most of the time. Although I felt at the state tournament, Jerry really turned his defense up at the state tournament.
And that's something I noticed. I don't know if you guys. There's a team camp in the summer. Y'all played Moorhead, and that was like, I don't know if you remember that. Moorhead came back. And we were crushing them. Yeah, and then
halftime, they came back and beat us in the second.
Yeah,
that one stung.
Yeah, and I was watching Jeremiah out there, and like no knock to him. I was just like, he's so athletic. Like you expect him to just be like locking them up, but you see Matthew, playing great defense. Like, and he's a incredible athlete too. But Jeremiah is like long arms, athletic, bouncy, and sometimes he does like. I feel like he doesn't give the effort, but the state championship game, like when it counted the most, like he locked it. Yeah, he showed up.
He showed up both ends of the floor for sure.
Yeah, especially even against Century too, like locking up, playing great defense. I think he had a stretch where he got like 6 points in a row just off steals. Like,
yeah, he did show up both ends of the floor. Thankfully.
I just want to ask you about like being a coach and like giving your players the green light.
Wait. Rephrase that again.
Like,
Like, how does or what gives a player the green light?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like here's a big one for me. Like, and this probably goes against what a lot of coaches do, but I give my guys complete freedom. Like, I always tell them I'm your biggest fan and your biggest supporter. Like, I'll use Gabe Sagvold from last year's squad. You know,
Oh yeah.
he's a kid that didn't play a lot for us in the first half of the season. But in my mind, he was our best shooter on our team, and he just needed a little bit of confidence.
Yeah.
And you know, when I took over last year, when Coach Critchley decided not to come back, you know, I put him in the starting lineup, and I just said, you got, you know, when you are open, I'm gonna be mad if you don't shoot it. Like, I want you shooting the ball when you're open, you know. And down the stretch, Gabe hit some huge shots for us. A couple of put us in overtime, and where we got some wins. Hit that big one against Minot that put that into overtime.
Oh, yeah.
You know, he
Can't
down the
forget that.
stretch, hit some huge shots for us. And so when guys go on the floor, I'm always like, you're open, you're shooting the ball. Like,
Yeah.
There's a reason I'm putting you on the floor, and it's because you're a scorer, right? Like, you're naturally get to score. Let's go to work, you know. So, and then, you know, guys like Peter Haugo and you know, that not necessarily a scorer. You know, I tend to try to tell him and support him and what he does well, which is playing defense and getting some boards for us. So it's just like every time I send a kid in, I'm kind of emphasizing what their strengths are and what they got to do for us.
So, like, you know, really, like, telling them what their role is, and
Yeah.
I feel like that makes a team better because, like, some teams, like, when they're playing, like, the coach tells them not to do something.
Yeah.
And now,
I don't ever do that. I don't ever use that. I don't want
Yep.
you to not do that. Yeah, I
Yeah.
don't like that either.
and then that player goes out there, like, he's, like, not playing for himself no more. He's just, like, playing, like, to stay in the game and please the coach.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Like-
Foday. Exactly.
Yeah, very well worded.
Yep. 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, my other big pet peeve as a coach is when you send a kid out there and he makes one mistake and then the coach pulls him out. Oh,
Yeah.
I
Oh,
hate
yeah.
that, man. You got to let a guy.
Oh yeah, let him
You got
breathe.
to let a guy get into
Yeah,
the flow,
get his
you know.
confidence.
If he makes a mistake right away and you yank him, how's he getting the flow?
Yeah.
And then that just tells a player too, like, coach doesn't trust you. I just feel like, you know, that's a.
I feel like when your
I'd
coach
rather
doesn't
lose the
trust
game
you,
than-
like, it takes away all your, like, it doesn't matter how skilled you are if your coach doesn't trust you. He won't go out there as confident.
Yeah.
Any
That
relationship in
confidence.
life, you know,
Yeah.
trust the biggest thing.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Like, that's why I don't know. Like, I see a lot of coaches out here, like, policing players on, like, how they play, like, and it's kind of just makes me, like, I don't know. Sometimes I'll get in the game and I'll be like, well, I don't know what, like, I'm allowed to do, you know, like, well, I go to the gym and I work on these moves every single day. Like, I'm trying to perfect my craft, and now I'm in game and I can't even do the moves that I work on.
Yep.
Yeah.
And that's why self-belief is so important. Like, also being coachable. But, like, I even say in some instances, like, bring your ego to the court, you know? Like, some people want egoless players, but I want your ego. That's what got you here.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love dudes that play with a little chip on their shoulder up there
Yeah.
too. I always say that
Yeah.
as well. Like, I love that. You know?
Yep.
You don't want to be Mr. Passive out there.
Yeah.
Yeah. So stay coachable, but at the same time, like, when you're wrong. But also, like, don't let anybody tell you can't do anything. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
Like keep your eyes on the prize, stay goal oriented, and it'll all fall through. You just have to
Yeah.
follow through on the plan after that. So you said you added Gabe Sagvold late in that season. So can you talk about the decisions behind adding Catch and Eric DeBoer to the rotation later in the year?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, Catch. I mean, that dude is so long. My lord. You know, he might not be like a great scorer for us right now and things like that. But man, when you put a kid in like him and you just tell him like, if you know, there's a guy on the other team that isn't necessarily a great 3-point shooter, you know, we tell him, like, expression I use is to dork them, you know, like, all right, I want you going, you're going to dork 34, and then you're 2 feet, stay in the lane at all times. Right?
Yeah.
And when you got a guy that's 6'8", with like a 7-foot wingspan,
Yeah.
he sits in that lane, he alters the game, man.
Yeah.
Alters
Massive
the
impact.
game, and then I've never figured it all season. And even guys in our squad, like, guys are still trying to put shots up on him, and he just is like, boom, stick it or send it, or you know. And I'm just like, what are these guys thinking they can get a shot up over this kid, right? But yeah, he did a great job, and then Eric, you know, coming down the stretch here, getting a few starts for us in the season, and man, his game's unique too. I call it an old man's game.
Oh yeah.
Is that number 14?
Yeah, I love his game. He reminds me like a Luka type player.
Yeah, You know, he's not super fleet of foot, you know, laterally or
Stop-
forward or
stop
backward.
glazing. Stop
But his
glazing.
basketball
You're not
IQ for a
looking
kid that's a sophomore,
Yeah.
he does. And his vision, the way he sees the floor and the way he can distribute that basketball. Did you see his behind the back?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Pass at that game?
Yeah.
Yep.
Come on, man.
Yeah.
Davies too. He had one in Davies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Behind the back.
Yeah.
Jeremiah hit a 3.
Yeah, ridiculous.
And
yeah.
I hadn't seen him play till late in the season, but Coach Gibson was on it. He told me, "Oh, Eric DeBoer, I seen him," and I go, "Coach, he got a little bit of baby fat on him. I don't know what he can do." And then, man, he proved us.
He's solid.
He came. What did he say? He stepped up to the plate.
Well, you
Yeah.
know, when I went to him, and I talked to him before that first started, I just said, Eric, I got to talk to you about something. But I said, tell me if I'm crazy or not, and if this makes you anxious or you're stressed out about it, then we can go some other way. But I'm thinking about starting you in this next game. I mean, do you feel you're ready? And dude, he looked like the Terminator. Like he was just looking at me, and he's like, Coach, I'm ready. And I didn't see any sense of like
Nervous.
stress or nerves or anxiety or nothing. Like he just wanted it, right?
Yeah.
So I was like, all right, let's go. Like that's the attitude I want.
Yeah, and
But it, you know,
Nigga loves it.
for those two guys, some injuries needed to happen, and you know we had some injuries down the season. Odie going out with his shoulder, then his ACL, and then David season-ending collarbone surgery.
Yeah.
So when when you got a couple guys down, you got to have a couple guys step up.
Yeah.
Thank the Lord,
And-
those two young men did. So.
Yeah, and injuries are a part of the game. You know, it sucks to see starting the season off with players you think like looking at some like, well, our roster's looking pretty good, and they come on. But that's the beautiful thing about basketball. Seeing Eric DeBoer catch come out there, and help you guys win a state championship. Like,
Yeah, we talk about that a lot too. Is like always be ready, next man up. Like
Yeah.
you never know when your light's coming on for you.
Yeah.
Like, be ready. So.
yeah. And shout out John Williams, Jody.
Oh,
Last
Jody.
I gotta tell it, John.
Jody.
last Holy Spirit legend over by Ben Franklin Middle School. They got a nice little 7-foot court, and we used to have a league with the first overall pick. Can't even dunk, but let's just say he would pull up him and a friend, and 6 years ago, and little guy, So what I was gonna say is I love the decision to put him in the game when Jeremiah had gotten in the foul trouble because of his energy. Like
Bro, he
it-
gives out,
like the plus
all
minus
out.
might have just been 0 or whatever, but he
the
that
effort.
could have got out of hand. It was getting out of hand before that. It was getting out of hand right before that, and then so. I guess just talk about that and
Yeah.
John Williams. So.
I want to start with a quick story about him, then I'll talk about that thought process that I had. But going into the season, I knew he was gonna kind of be like a dude. I wasn't quite sure if he was gonna make the team or whatever. Had a really good trial process for us, and we sat down as a coaching staff before that cut day and just kind of talked about him a little bit. And I just kind of made the decision, like, I'm going to be upfront and honest with him. I'm going to tell him he's good enough to be on this team this season, but I just don't know how many minutes I'm going to be able to find him. And he's got to be okay with that and still be a positive impact on us every single day, coming to practice and grinding and making guys better, And so when we sat down with him, I had that discussion with him, and I just basically said that same thing. Just said, you're good enough to make this team, but I can't promise you're going to find minutes every game. You got to be all right with that, and not let it become a negativity on the team. And he looked at me square in the eyes and just said, Coach, I want to do whatever I can do to make this squad better. And I was just like, I don't know what it is. Like, I did. Like, that is the best thing you can say to a coach on cut day, right? When you're faced with that decision. And I was so glad he did, because every day he came in, he was just great at practice every day and made us better every day. And, he's a guy that I would stick over on the JV team to play against our varsities to make, like, Jeremiah and Matthew better, because he's a good defender and physical, So, the decision going to state, he's a guy I trusted when I get him in there. He's a guy I trusted because he would do that against us in practice, against the varsity guys. He's doing stuff against Jeremiah, Matthew, Carter, Welcome. He's attacking the rim and elevating or jump stopping, getting guys off their feet and then elevating and putting things in practice. So, I wasn't afraid to put him in. Like I was saying all season, we've got a deep bench. And man, what he did for us in that, I don't even know how long he was in, a couple minutes.
Yep.
when Jeremiah was out there. But yeah, you're right. He goes in, attacks the rim right
Yeah.
away, right? Diving on the floor, getting a turnover. Like
I was just seeing.
Gets blocked even
And
at
it's
one
just-
point,
Yeah.
comes right back, you know.
Yeah.
yeah,
Great defensive possession.
Yeah,
It just surprises me. Like you don't see like a lot of players. Like a lot of players I know will come in the game and they need to find their rhythm. Like especially coming off the bench, they
Energy
need to
players.
find their energy. He came off the bench like he's been playing the whole game. Energy, running all over the court. Like it's like no, hesitation. No, like I don't. A straight dog.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. And for me as his coach, to see how much time he's put into the season, it makes you so prideful when they go out and
Yeah.
play. When when he gets that opportunity and he just makes the most of it, even though if it's just a couple minutes, like,
Yeah.
you just get so proud of him.
Yeah.
For sure.
So I'm a bit of a hopeless romantic myself, Coach.
Yes, sir.
And I couldn't help but notice how timeless the moment was when you rejoiced with your wife, Miss Allison Hoeg, and great teacher. And can you tell us anything about that moment and your family's relentless support throughout your coaching career?
Yeah, I was fortunate to have 3 boys, and all 3 boys love basketball, and so that's made life so enjoyable for me growing up, and to watch them go through the process and play high school basketball, and the 2 older ones are still playing some rec ball here and there. So just that's super cool. For my wife, yeah, man, when after the whole craziness of winning the championship and people coming up and hugging me, the whole time I was kind of like, where's my wife? Where's
I know the security didn't let her on. It was like 20 minutes. Like I already ran on the court.
I
Like
know. I know. So like I'm looking around and I'm shaking hands with people, hugging people up and
Yeah.
stuff, and then finally I spot Allison and I just grab her, give her a big kiss, and kind of like, because that's the other thing a lot of people don't understand is how hard it is to be a coach's wife. Right?
sacrifice. I was gonna mention that too.
For sure.
I already know.
Like the time, and even like, even when I am home, I'm not really home because I've got my computer on and I'm watching film and scouting teams out and trying to put game plans together. And everybody knows once the season starts, you got 2 games a week, and so it's like even when you're home, you're constantly still involved in basketball and you got things to do. So yeah, a shout out to all the coaches' wives, man, for sure. They're for real, and what they do and the support and everything like that. Yeah, it's awesome. And she's a good woman. And that's why I married her. So.
Yep.
She's always been very supportive and always believes in me. And
Yeah.
yeah.
And it really felt like the world had the time had stopped when I saw that. It was great. But
thank you, man. That's pretty cool.
But yeah, that's about all I got at basketball. Let me ask you a question about life. Or actually one more about basketball here. How did you become the invincible optimist that you are today? It's almost a coaching archetype that you've embodied and passed on to me. So elaborate on that a little bit.
Yeah, I don't know. I think part of it is just, I don't know, my personality. I was raised by 2 great human beings. My mom and dad are great people. My dad's a little bit more of an introvert. My mom was the extrovert, and they just raised me to have a lot of compassion and empathy for people and to celebrate successes and things like that. So I'll give credit to my parents. They raised a great young man in me, and yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
It feeds into basketball.
What's that?
Just feeds into basketball.
Oh,
a
yeah.
bit. Yeah.
My parents also definitely set the platform for me to have this kind of success as well, and just to be a happy kid. Like I feel like I'm one of the most happiest people that left my whole school. Like shout out all the moms and dads.
Yeah,
Shout out my
Coach,
mom.
I gotta tell you one other thing. Like I just thought of this. I learned this lesson in my first year coaching basketball, and I think it was probably one of the most incredible lessons I learned from a very smart man. He's actually the athletic director at Davies High School. His name's Lenny Olhauser. But we used to coach middle school basketball way back in the day. I think I was probably 25, 26 years old. And it was my first year coaching, and I remember some things went on during the game that I didn't appreciate or I wasn't happy about. And I was the typical, young first-year coach. I was out there screaming a lot and losing my mentality and probably saying a lot of dumb things. And after the game, I walked back into the coaching office, and Lenny was back there, and I was, sat down, and I just started being negative and talking about my team and how poor they played and this kid doing that. And Lenny looked at me, and he gave me the best advice. He's like, he looked me square in the eyes. He goes, Coach, he goes, do you think those kids were going out there on purpose to make the mistakes that they did just to make you mad? And I was like, I think that's something we all overlook so much. Like,
Yeah.
heck no, they're not. They're out there on the floor trying to give their all for me, right?
Yeah.
Like, they're not out there purposely trying to make mistakes and do things like that. And that's just life, and that's the game of basketball. And I think when I reflect back on that knowledge that he gave me, just that simple quote, like, kind of opened it up. Like, these guys are out there working their butts off for me,
Yeah.
So,
Great answer. All right. If you could go back a few years in your life and tell yourself something, what would it be?
man, look at that question. All right, you got me thinking. I'll go back a few years in life.
Or at any point. So.
Yeah, I don't know, like, boy, maybe just enjoy every second, right? Like,
Yeah.
some things have happened this last year where I think we all do it, right? I think we all just take things for granted so much and so often.
Yep.
And, with some of the things that I experienced this year and some of the adversity, it's just like, just soak up every second, man. Like, every second. right? Like,
Gratitude
just-
and mindfulness
Yes,
every
sir.
morning.
Yeah, for sure. And just when you wake up and you open up those eyes, decide that you're going to be a happy person and not be that negative person, and just there's just so much about life that is so special and so awesome that I could sit and focus on the negativity, little things that are going on in my life, or I can focus on the things that are great in my life. Why would I want to choose to think about the negativity and things like that? So just having that mindset and that that thinking.
Yeah, and I could, relate to that a little bit, just being down, especially last year, just having a terrible season.
Yep.
Yeah, I can't relate with that.
And I was just thinking I'll wake up and I'll think so negative. I always think so negative.
Yep.
Like,
You gotta be your biggest believer.
yeah, I wish I could just go back and just tell myself, you're him.
Yeah. You're him.
You're him.
You're
Not one of them.
You're not
Not
that
one of
guy,
them.
pal. You are definitely not him.
Oh, sorry, not him. I mean, busy.
Yeah, don't ever say that again. I was thinking the
Full
same
busy.
thing. Like, life goes by so fast, and like I was just thinking the other day, like I was watching, 'cause I like to watch old highlights, right? It's it felt like it was yesterday, but it was a year ago, and you gotta really live in the moment and stop worrying about the next day and the future and stuff. You gotta live.
And Foday, I got a question for you. Which BTG player would you least like to date your daughter?
I think I'm sitting right next to him.
What, bro?
For real?
Yeah,
No,
bro.
not me, but come on. Man.
Yeah, bro. You see how he be talking? I don't like that. Bro. I mean, I wouldn't allow any of them. I'd beat every single one of them. But if I had to choose one, it's definitely this dude right here.
No, not even Mufti.
Nah, Mufti's a respectful young man.
Yo.
My man's goofy, bro.
All right. Let me get you. I got another one for you, Foday.
He call me Four.
Foday. I didn't even catch that, but focused on these notes here.
Nah, you good, bro.
Foday, what's the scariest thing about the future?
Just not knowing what's gonna happen. Anything can happen at any point in time.
Yeah.
So I feel like you can't worry about the future too much. You gotta live in the present.
Yeah.
now.
Tomorrow not guaranteed.
Yeah.
I got a question for you, actually. Who you think is the best player that you coached?
Oh.
And who reminds you of yourself the most?
I mean, no one reminds me of myself. I'm way too elite to compare to you guys.
Just answer the question. Just answer the question. You're not.
I didn't really get to coach them. I mean, I did, but the
Hype
best
up.
player I coached, it's my man's Josh. Josh a bucket. Josh a bucket. Yeah, man, I'll lead. Yeah, I love them all. I love them all, but Josh and Ali, they're the two buckets, and Abakar. Rest of y'all decent, man. Just a few more years, y'all gonna get there, man.
I'll give you buckets right now, though.
Hey, go on my TikTok. There's a video of me and him playing ones. That's all I gotta say,
I heard
man.
it was meticulously clipped. We need a live.
Clipped
we
out
need a
all my
live
clips,
1v1
bro.
on the BTG Instagram.
Bro, I
or
looked at the
something.
camera, right?
I would
looked at
never
the-
cut someone's clips out of a video. That's everything that
Huh?
I had. Like, he didn't score. He didn't score.
Bro, I looked at the camera. I said, Nick, what bucket you want, Nick? What bucket you want, Nick?
Yeah.
Bro, I look on the TikTok where my bucket's at, bro.
He's literally lying. Bro.
Some serious culture here at BTG. I cannot lie. A family like no other, almost a tribe, I like to call it. But Coach Hoeg, which of your kids is the best cook?
Oh, the best cook.
Yep.
I'd say it's on the grill. It's probably Cade. Inside is probably Bodie. You know, using the inside equipment. And then Keaton is so dang lazy, he don't cook. He orders people to bring him his meals. I don't know.
Big DoorDash guy.
That kid is the laziest kid.
Yeah, I'll do that too.
But he's a great kid. Don't get me wrong. I love him.
Right? I think we hugged like 8 times after that Bismarck Century game. It was just so surreal. Me and Keaton. But I don't even know if I got anything more. Let me see. I got some rapid fire questions for you though, Coach.
All right. I'm old, so it might not be so rapid out of my mouth.
All right.
I got some questions.
Okay.
Oh yeah,
Might
wait, Foday,
stir
go
up some
ahead.
Controversy though.
Go ahead.
All right, let's go.
Hopefully we don't have to
the
cut. We don't gotta
controversy.
cut this
Love
one
it.
out.
If you had to take one player on your team, Jeremiah Sem or Mason Klabo, who would you take?
Ooh.
Man, that's a great question.
Sticking with your guy, or
Dude,
you would do your guy like
man. Here's the deal. Like, this is probably another thing a lot of people don't know, but Mason and I have a great relationship. He played for me one spring summer on our young ECI team and that team was ridiculous good. Schaefer was on that squad for the century. It was a ridiculous squad, but yeah, I love that kid too, man. But if I'm gonna be on, I mean, both very special players. Let's be real, both very special. But I'm going with my man Jeremiah.
Yes, sir.
That dude is like he
Different.
can do everything Mason does, but he can do it in I think in a little bit more of an electrifying way, right? Like I don't know, but that's not taking anything away from Mr. Klabo. That kid is a special player.
Both.
Yeah.
And that's kind
dogs,
of controversial considering some have been calling Klabo the most hyped prospect to come out of ND at the time, like giving him a lot of hype like that. So
he's like that.
Yeah, I
but
mean, he's a good
much
player.
respect to both because
I'm
I've
not
never
gla-
seen
I'm not
anything like it.
glazing.
These two players
Stop
might be
glazing.
some of the best players in state history. You know what I mean? Might be the best.
For sure.
You suck.
Recognition they're getting and some of the schools, yeah, for sure. Yeah, good question, Foday. Way to put me
Yeah.
on the spot.
Right? I was not ready for that. I thought we were gonna have to cut that out. I'm not gonna lie. Yeah,
I got some controversial questions.
Oh. Now that we're on the subject.
Who do you think is the best player in the state from this past season?
Wait,
So-
did he not just answer that? Yeah. sorry.
I got my boy
I didn't mean to call
Melvin.
you out, Melvin.
Yeah,
I got Melvin.
But that's just
Okay, yeah,
between Mason
yeah.
and Jeremiah.
I think that, you know,
yeah.
Derek Dissett is a
Oh.
machine.
Yeah.
I mean, I watched that young man for the last couple of years in the summer and spring, and the way he plays that basketball game with like just the mindset and the way he communicates constantly on defense, and
Yeah.
I mean, he just does everything right, all the little things right, takes charges, communicates 24/7 on defense, and just has a motor. And when like he needs to take a game over, he will take games over. I mean, so.
Yeah.
I think Jeremiah finishes a really, really close second to Derek Dissett this year. This is the best player in North Dakota.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Derek
Much
is
respect.
just
Yeah.
I just watched him. He was just like running through people, just like I never seen that. I thought some of those were charges. The way he was just hammered. Where he was running through people, just lay the ball the whole game. Nobody was stopping him. I was like, bro, what is going on?
NDSU got a good one in him next year.
Yeah.
He's going to be fun to watch in Fargo for the next 4 years.
Yeah. But
And,
when I get to college, I'm locking that up. Clamps.
So
You're going to
this
conclude.
question is for I got a question for Foday and Coach Hoeg. Foday, you can answer first. What is one dream that you haven't accomplished yet outside of basketball?
Oh.
Or is that the main dream right now?
Dream's not done yet because I ain't rich yet. So
All
I
right.
don't know. Once I get rich, then the dream's accomplished.
All right. and for you, Mr. Hoeg, what's a dream that
You know, it's always been a goal or a passion of mine. I want to get overseas. Like, I want to go over to Europe and visit Ireland and Denmark, kind of where my the culture of my ancestors come from, and just kind of travel around Europe and kind of experience that and get on the beaches and like Italy and stuff like that. And I don't know. I've always wanted to travel overseas, so that's a big dream of mine. You know, outside of basketball, is to just travel a little bit, which I might be able to do once I retire. I don't know.
Yeah, and I heard a quote in a movie. I forgot. Don't know where it came from, but it was the core of man's experience or man's spirit comes from new experiences and trying new things. So we can't all always travel all over for our whole lives, but you know, you got to get out of your comfort zones sometimes, and you know.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, actually, I need to change my answer to the dream question. One dream I haven't accomplished, like get helping my mom and dad, because like they work so hard for me. So like I want them to like not be able to work another day. So like that's why I gotta like keep working so they don't have to work another day, because they work so hard for me.
Me as well. Like
That's awesome.
coaches or my parents get up 4 a.m., 5 a.m. Work 60-hour weeks. My mom was working 60-hour weeks, no health insurance for like 20 years, something like that, and you know, worked her whole life, like, so just overwhelmed. So it's like I completely agree.
Yeah,
That's my dream as
great
well.
answers.
All right, let's get this rapid fire real quick. Best restaurant in ND. Hoeg? You guys can all answer.
We go date night here all the time. JL Beers, man. Best burgers. Best burgers. Oh,
All
yes,
right.
sir.
Best ranch.
I
Okay.
mean, me and my boys always go to Denny's, so I gotta.
Yo.
I gotta let go. Wait, you talking? Can fast food count too?
Might as well.
Oh yeah, Five Guys on top right now.
Hey, yo, pause.
They need to lower the price. They need to lower the price on them burgers, though. That's crazy. They gotta lower the price, man.
You have 2 burgers, it's like $40.
No,
Melvin? Best restaurant
The
in ND?
Tavern.
Tavern?
Ooh,
All right.
Tavern.
that's good too.
All right.
He about to say McDonald's.
NBA
He
champion
lying.
this year.
Bron.
Bro, what, bro?
Bron's gonna win.
Ooh.
Luca?
Sleeping on my Knicks.
Bron's
Sleeping
gonna
on my
win.
Knicks. Melvin?
Bro, what? Don't ever mention the Knicks, bro. In the discussion, bro.
Knicks are good. this year, though.
Jalen Brunson's
Finally.
been good. Jalen Brunson's been good. Julius has been good.
They've been elite, bro. What are you talking about?
Elite for Knicks standards, yeah.
Let's not get into too much Knicks talk here. But NBA champion this year, Melvin.
Celtics. But I can't count out the Mavericks because they have
Mavericks are not
Luca.
tough.
I don't
They have
think-
Luca though.
I'm not worried about the Mavericks,
But
bro.
They're
have
struggling
Luka.
on defense.
But they have Luca.
They had Luca last year, bro, and the Warriors spanked them, bro.
Luca's different though.
Bron just needs,
I
Bron
don't
just
know.
needs to get
I'll
in the
be
playoffs.
honest, I don't
and
watch a
stuff.
ton of NBA. I'm just not a big fan of it, but I spend most of my time watching college basketball. But NBA, I like Luka, but you know who I also really like, and I don't know if they're good this year or not. But Giannis, man, I just love watching that kid play. Golly,
Definitely
Bucks,
the team to
Bucks,
beat right
I don't
now.
know. Is Bucks,
That's
are the
an
Bucks
elite
good this year?
Either one or
player.
two in Vegas
Okay.
odds.
Nice.
But who's your NCAA champion then? Big NCAA
Ooh.
fan
Bama.
myself.
I tell you what, you know who I watched the other night? I was like, who's gonna beat this squad? Was San Diego State? Oh my
Aztecs,
goodness.
great perimeter
It's
defense.
never the top team that
Oh,
usually
they look
wins,
good.
bro.
Well, I think
yeah.
Bama's gonna win.
And
though.
they're like
Not Bama,
like
still.
Charles Barkley was saying at halftime, like those guys are men out there playing. The other squad looks like college kids, but this squad looks like a bunch of men playing.
Yep.
San Diego
I was
State's
impressed by
tough.
them. So,
They are tough.
San Diego's looking.
Give me a few
I'll
years,
put
I'm
my
be in
money
that
on it.
tournament.
Yep, I got UConn winning it all. UConn die
You're
hard. So
transferring Concordia.
finally back. But for NBA champion, you know I got my New York Knicks.
Bro, bro.
You don't even believe that.
That's
bro.
when we wrap up. Hey, thank you for watching Beyond the Dimensions podcast.
wait.
Like, what are you talking about now,
Yo.
bro?
Wait,
What
the
are you
crazy
talking
it's the
about?
craziest thing I've ever heard though. A Knicks fan not believing. Yo, we've been
Yeah,
believing for
it is.
10 years. That's mellow.
Nah, they're gonna be solid in the playoffs. They might lose in the first round. Most likely they will, but
All right.
once LeBron gets in the playoffs, it's over with.
Speaking of LeBron, LeBron or Jordan?
Bron's the GOAT.
Bron is better than Jordan, but he's not the GOAT.
Coach Hoeg, what do you?
I'm a Jordan guy all the way,
All
through
right.
and through.
You're trying to
Jordan
get
all
all
the way.
spiritual with me, bro. So, Bron's the GOAT, man.
Luca.
Let's hear, Coach. Who you got, Coach?
Oh, I just said I'm a Jordan guy through and through, but like same thing. Like when we were talking about best players in North Dakota, like you look at LeBron, man. Like what is he, 6'8"? And
Yeah.
I know he lists himself at like 250 or whatever, but I heard he's like 290. Like, the dude is just a
6'9".
freak, right?
6'9", 270,
I mean,
bro,
just-
running.
Yeah.
He's ridiculously good. Yeah, I
It's
mean,
not like solidified yet, LeBron to go. He has to get one more. Then the arguments.
Then we can
goes.
argue with Luka.
Yeah, now that's the end of the podcast. Like,
Are we wrapping it up?
Might
Luka's
as well.
the GOAT.
what's the top 3
Whoa,
all-time
we-
players?
Luka.
Finish off with this right here.
No, Luka, LeBron, Jordan.
Top 3 all-time players. Luke, are you actually serious?
Yo.
Like, are you serious? bro?
Respectfully, I'll even take LeBron in his rookie year because the game was different, you know. Like LeBron had a lot to carry
You can't
too.
put
Like
him
you put
all
LeBron in
time.
Luka's
You guys-
situation, he doing the same thing. Respectfully,
He's not better than Luka.
I'm
Luka
comparing
hasn't
rookie years.
done
but,
nothing
you know.
yet. Well, he has done. He hasn't like went deep in the playoffs
when
yet,
we
bro.
see him, when he gets help, now he has Kai. So
Like, all right, bro.
I'm gonna go Bron, Jordan, and then I'm gonna go back a little bit. I'm gonna go Bill Russell.
Yes,
No.
sir. Bill Russell's legend.
no, we're gonna go. All right, my for real list: LeBron, Jordan, Kareem.
Oh, he's
Yeah.
I got Bron, Jordan, and Kobe.
Yup, I got the same. I got Curry fourth.
I'm putting
I got
Kobe.
Curry.
Kobe.
I'm putting Kobe up there, man.
Kobe's 11th on mine.
Yo, we did not need it. We're
I've been
cutting
seeing a lot of.
cut
I've been
that
seeing
out.
a lot of people.
Yo, we don't want all of our fans to hate us. We don't need to even talk about. We don't
Yeah,
debate
you
Kobe and
sure.
Jordan on here.
You put Luka in the top 3.
Yeah, bro.
You
I'm
clearly
dead ass
don't
cut it
watch
out.
basketball.
I watch Luka every night.
It's confirmed he doesn't watch basketball right here.
All right.
I mean, Luka is my
Thank
NBA
you guys for-
comparison, though. All right, go ahead.
What?
Go ahead.
Now go ahead, go.
Thank you guys for watching another installment of Beyond the Dimensions podcast. Great episode this week with Coach Ish and Coach Hoeg.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Big Biz.
Fo Drizzy,
Yes, sir.
you're not busy, so we can't address you like that. It's Mel
go-
busy.
Go peep the TikTok at
Bro, no,
certified.com,
cut this out.
man.
Cut this out.
Certified.com. Certified.com.
All right.
Because I don't play defense. That's why I put com. But just go peep the TikTok and you're going to see. I did too.
All right, let's end it on that, guys.
All right, thank you guys for watching.
Hey, thanks for having me on, fellas. Appreciate it.
Oh, yeah. No problem.